Hey, this is Mike Shank, and this is the At Speed podcast presented by Rocky Fork Company.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Now for something completely new. We're calling this the At Speed podcast. I'm just going to hit you coming right out of the pits with this. My name is Tim May, but the principal star of our show, brought to you by Rocky Fork Company, is Mike Shank. Mike Shank, welcome to your podcast, my friend. At Speed with Mike Shank and Tim May. And by the way, Mike, what time is it?
On this Rolex?
Yeah, on that Rolex, Mike.
Rolex, a little bit after 1 o'clock.
Yeah, that's a Rolex that you won with your Pataskala-based race team, Meyer Shank Racing. Used to be Michael Shank Racing way back when, but now it's been Meyer Shank Racing for a couple of years. And I'm just wondering, at this moment in time, we're in January. In 24 hours, your race season is going to begin with the 24 hours of Daytona. Is this like Christmas to you? Is this like trying to cook Thanksgiving dinner? What are the emotions you're feeling as your season's about to kickstart?
Well, the first thing I think about is this is being 17th year in a row, 17 that we've done the Rolex 24
consecutively.
And Brian Bailey from the Rocky Fork Company, that's part of the show, also has been with me there probably for 10 or 12 of those by now too. We just think about all the times we should have won the race. We've won it once, by the way. In 2012, we won the race overall in a Ford-powered prototype. AJ Allmendinger driving the car at the end of the race. So that event, that win really put us on the map in the racing world. Now, nothing really changed from a week before that, except we put this gigantic top 5 in the world event to win in our cap. And since that time in 2012 till now, it's just done nothing but skyrocket.
But up to that point, you were basically known as the team that should have won it. I mean, had a great chance of winning it. Yeah. And since then, you're known as a team that can win it, right? I mean,
it's one of those events that you have to. I think if you're going to stay in it like I am for a living, this is all I do for a living. You have to get it done if you're in this form of motorsports. But what it's really done, and we'll talk a lot more about this, is it's really catapulted this business commercially with sponsors. Now into IndyCar, which is something really cool that we're going to talk a lot about this year. Yeah. First full year of doing that, of course, and fostered a relationship with Honda Acura, all based up in Marysville, Ohio here, that has proven to be nothing but all success for us.
Yeah, and that's what it's all about. I mean, Jim Truman told me about this a long time ago when I first started covering auto racing back in the early 80s. It's the relationships, it's the hookups that take you to the next level.
That's right.
Combined with personnel like you wouldn't believe.
Sure.
When you look, a lot of people look at auto racing, they see the guy driving the car, or in your case, in your sense, in the GTT class of IMSA, they see the guys or sometimes gals driving the car, but there's so much more involved. I mean, just take me through how this team has evolved from like you driving a little Formula Atlantic car and like coming out and almost not begging me for stories in the old Columbus Dispatch back then, but the bottom line was you were trying to promote yourself and stuff, but how far you've come in just 20 years.
I think the number one thing you hit on there early in that sentence was the networking, the relationships. If I could have a degree, I don't have a degree. I went right from Gahanna Lincoln High School on the east side of Columbus right into driving race cars. Yeah. If there could be a degree in networking, that's what we should all have. Because ultimately, that's what's getting deals like you see behind us done anymore. It's the way we treat people. It's the way we attack a competition. It's the way we do things that we say we're going to do and the promises we keep, and try not to burn the bridge. Now, this all seems pretty cavalier to talk about and seems easy and basic. I'm telling you, especially in our world, if you follow that, it's not a hard recipe, right? But it gives a lot of opportunity to people if you can kind of follow that basic outlines of being a reasonable human being. Now, I think you have to be super competitive, never give up. You got to have, my willingness to win is as strong as Urban Meyer's is. Yeah. Or Days. I guarantee you I won't want as bad as they do, right?
Yeah.
And but you got to have a bit of that because it's easy to lose and just kind of walk away. Also, financially, it's a very expensive sport. We're fortunately going through a great time in our world. The outside world financially is in pretty good shape. People are seeing the upside to sponsoring race cars and being marketing partners of ours, and we're getting the benefit of that. Mm-hmm. But the basis of it is what you said. It's the networking, the relationship building, and has got us to be way up here now.
But like with Brian with Rocky Fork, I mean, there's a guy that's been in your corner for a while, but just talk about, I mean, the way you attract a sponsorship or backing, whatever you want to call it, you know, I mean, is that's called, you ought to be putting dollar bills into the gas tanks, you know, instead of gas. But and then you get it. Is how much of it is luck involved? How much of it is people seeing what you can do for them from a promotional standpoint, and how much of it is just companies wanting to be involved in an exciting sport?
Well, I think there's a few things that have put us where we're at today, as part of what you asked there. Number one is not necessarily luck, but timing. Timing is the right time to move. For me, it was from open wheels to sports cars, and then back to open wheels again.
Yeah.
And all those things were done very purposefully, I guess you would call it. And then when you look at how we attacked our current IndyCar situation, we started with 6. We did 10 last year. We're going to do the full season. Everything is timed for me.
Yeah.
So more than luck, it's planned timing. Now, there's got to be execution in there, which we did. And when we got the execution done, it worked out for us. Now, having said that, the way and why people market partnerships with us are all over the board. It can be simply for hospitality. It can be branding. It can be the social aspects of it. It can be a combination of it. We have partners that don't want a thing on the car, but they want to have a potential of a B2B business play with one of our other partners.
Gotcha.
So they'll come in.
Yeah.
They'll pay to be there to do that, and we'll have meetings in the background, and we do business together. So we're providing 4 or 5 things in the spectrum of business that can attract people to come to us. It's just not a hat that says XYZ company. In this case, we have Mobile One as a big supporter this year, AutoNation, SiriusXM, Honda. All these things all are here for a very specific reason.
How do you keep all those balls in the air from a juggling standpoint, or just make sure you're keeping everybody satisfied or happy? Yeah. Because we know even Penske Racing, they don't win every race. No. I mean, how do you keep them, I guess, on the straight and narrow of what the focus really is? I mean, obviously you want to win every race.
Yeah.
You want to win a race first, in IndyCar. But how do you keep them involved, excited about it?
Well, there's a couple things, and I keep referring to football on this, but just as Ryan Day has a pyramid of people that support him, offensive, defensive, special teams, all the folks, personnel, front office, I have the same thing here.
Yeah.
I've got to have myself at the top, and then I have to have these lieutenants that push the message through the guys, because ultimately our performance is what's going to really drive people wanting to be involved with us. We can be nice. We can do what we said we're going to do, but ultimately we got to deliver the W's, or at least something that's very compelling, a championship effort, championship run, something that shifts the focus to our program.
Yeah, like we saw at Indy last year in the Grand Prix of Indianapolis, when Jack Harvey, y'all managed a 3rd place finish in that race, and it was a ridiculously cool race to watch and stuff, but suddenly everybody was paying attention.
So that's those are those moments in time. Those things have to happen in order to advance. At some point, we got to believe in Jack. We got to believe in Meyer Shank Racing. We got to believe that those two combined can net results out for Honda and for our sponsors. That particular event that you're talking about, we damn near won the thing until it rained.
Yeah.
Jack had never been in an IndyCar ever in the rain, ever. No practice, no nothing. We put rain tires on it and said, go get him. Oh, by the way, he was almost in the lead. He came in P2.
Right.
So he did a fantastic job just to keep it in P3, and we were more than tickled. But wait
a minute. But he finished 3rd behind Simon Pagenaud and a guy named Scott Dixon.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good company.
Listen, I mean, that progress of last year was great. And Jack showed a couple times last year that he's got what it takes on his side of the thing to get that result. And again, it's just these moments in time that people suddenly, we pop up on the radar, we kind of under it, do a good job, they look good, professional, but then boom, here we are. Okay, and then we kind of do okay, and then boom, boom, here we are again. And that boom, boom just keeps. When we go to an IMSA race with the NSX sports cars, we know when we unload, we're going to win this race. At IndyCar, it's like we're junior senators, right? Like we deserve to get kicked in the tail once.
I'm standing over here. I want to make a comment.
And we make some noise and we kick some shins, and boop, here we are.
Yeah.
And we want to get the IndyCar program. We will get the IndyCar program to the expectation level of the sports car program very soon.
Yeah, I mean, and ladies and gentlemen, I've known Mike Shank for a long time, and one of the things that's always stood out about you to me is humble is a little bit. I think you have a little humility, but you're confident. I mean, you've always been confident that you're going to get there. When I guess driving a car, it's always great to be confident you're going to get from A to B. but you've always had this confidence that your organization and stuff is such that given the right setup, the right circumstances, I'm talking about opportunities, which come with, let's face it, in the auto racing, a lot of it comes from a financial standpoint, that you're going to get there. Where does that come from, Mike?
I have a little bit of a chip on my shoulder. And I think you have to have that.
And why is that? Where's the chip?
Well, the problem is I didn't get the respect I think I ever deserved. That's the bottom line. I just think I've fought for respect more than anything else. I never had it, so I get pissed off when I don't get it.
Yeah.
And when I finally get some, I keep pushing because I still don't think I'm getting what I deserve. In the IndyCar right now, they don't know how good we are yet.
Dude, you sound like Dabo Sweeney, but I digress. Go ahead.
Well, I'm just saying it's a driving factor for me.
Yeah.
I came up from very modest upbringings in a great young life. All good. We just didn't have any money to do this, period. Yeah. And so I'm always fighting on my heels. But we've managed to do it. We managed to get in our right situation, the right group of people behind me to help push the message that kind of sign on to how I want to go racing, and how I want to treat people.
You've always had loyal guys. I mean, you've had loyal guys here. Some of these guys have been here forever, haven't they?
26 years.
Yeah, but there's a difference between loyal guys and competent, talented guys. Did you kind of luck out in that regard? I mean, that you got loyally, competence, and talented?
I don't think it's luck.
Yeah.
I think I've had people here that don't work out. I think we work hard on bringing the right people in. Sometimes I get it completely wrong. More often than not, I probably bat 700 on getting the right group in here.
But that's the way it is almost every
probably.
Team. Yeah.
Probably. But in what I've found is the guys that have been here for a long time, I'll know within a week if the new person that came in is going to make it or not. The birdie will come to me in the office and say, I don't know. Or they'll say, hey, man, this guy's got this kid, this guy, this lady, they have great potential. And they're going to fit in well.
Yeah, nice chops.
It's like a
perpetuating.
I don't have to go fire anybody usually. They take care of them.
But in your the thing I've gotten about your team, because I asked people about you. I was talking to Roger Penske about you last year, before Indy and stuff, and everybody is impressed. I'm not trying to blow smoke here, but everybody's impressed just by, like I said, the professional approach that this team has had forever. You look at the shop, you could eat off the floor. Mm-hmm. Where did that come from? I mean, that ethic isn't pervasive across auto racing.
I hate to say this because I really want to beat Roger's ass all the time.
Yeah.
But some of it comes from Roger and the way I know he does things. Other parts of it come from my OCD. The floor, there's no dust on the sills here.
Yeah,
some of that's mine when it flares, But and then the way I was brought up, my family, and I want people to walk in the front of the shop. When they look through the back of it, they think professional. They think no messing around. If you come in and do business with this group, you're going to come out ahead. You're going to get what you need out of it. And it comes from the very beginning. From the time I could tell a small block Chevrolet coming down Grandview Avenue where I was born, 3 years old, I could tell car noises.
Yeah.
And it's just been in me since.
That's interesting because, I mean, that opens a Pandora's box if I could go all kinds of different ways. But the way I always like to explain it to people, too, is with Roger Penske and you never know who's walking in the front door that you could be making an impression on.
Yeah, that's
You never know who's walking in your garage door at a racetrack, and they could either be impressed or go, man, these guys, they're slapping it. We're out of here.
Yeah, it was so many interesting people have come through that front door to address exactly what you're saying here. Mayor Pataskala here, the superintendent was here. The state representatives have been here. They want to see what we're doing here.
Yeah.
And so it's important when they come in, they get that first impression set, and that's how Roger operates. When you walk into anything Roger has, whether it's Detroit Belle Isle, the race,
right,
or his race transporter, whatever you see, what would Roger do?
Yeah.
Okay, now, beyond that, I don't want to keep blowing Roger up.
Yeah, but I'm going to ask you more question about him. What's he going to do for IndyCar, in your opinion? He just bought the IndyCar. Well, he basically bought Indianapolis Motor Speedway and IndyCar and stuff. What, just in a nutshell, what do you expect to be things that people notice right off the bat this season that'll be different?
I think the first thing you'll notice about is better bathrooms. And just the look of the place is going to get way tightened up. Not that it was, IMS is a pretty tight facility, not horrible, right?
Yeah.
We've seen worse.
Yeah.
But he will tighten that thing up immediately. It'll probably show up in the bathrooms first.
Wow.
I'm not kidding you.
Yeah.
And then beyond that, you'll see better landscaping. You'll see better lighting. You'll see a fan experience boost of some kind, some way. I think you're going to see just announced recently within the last week and a half is that the Xfinity race is going to be on Saturday on the road course, and the NASCAR race is going to be on Sunday. That's way out there. That's like blow mind type stuff, right?
Yeah.
But I love it because that means both NASCAR and Roger, who are the two powerhouses now in North America, understand that they got to change things. And they're right. Our world has changed, and they haven't changed enough.
Well, can that work? Can you cross-pollinate? I mean, can you get people to show up eventually for an IndyCar race and let's say a NASCAR big time Sprint Cup? What is it now? I forgot the name of it.
It's Monster Energy.
Monster Energy.
But they're actually multiplying that by 5 this year.
Exactly. Can that work?
Well, let me ask you a question. Can what we're doing now work? Substantially?
Well, it can get you along.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's not sustainable.
Yeah.
They have to break out of this mold. I know about a few things here. I can tell you back probably 10 years ago when Grand Am was still around on the sports, wholly owned by Jim France in NASCAR, now IMSA, wholly owned by Jim France in NASCAR. They live and die by their client. They're a spectator. And they spend tens of millions on polling these folks when they come to the race. What do you want? And they ask them, and these polls got to the point back in the end of 2008, something like that. Do you want to see sports car and NASCAR together? And they were always told that they didn't want to. And that's how they operated. And it's always church, state, open wheel, closed wheel, and do this.
Yeah.
And sports car kind of fits somewhere in the middle. But in this day and age, in my mind, the time has changed. The time has come to change. We need to get real creative on timing, dating, groupings. We need to have bigger events, not just necessarily racing. Racing can happen, but there's got to be more to do around.
There's got to be a Ferris wheel, right?
Just like on the Columbus Blue Jackets.
Yeah.
You and I go down there. We have dinner first, right outside. Then we walk over and have you got to have another reason to come to entertain these folks, and you got to get creative on how to do that. I think Roger gets that, actually.
Yeah.
And I think there's some other people that are over at IMS and stuff that also get that. So. I mean, the way Jim Meyer, my partner here at Meyer Shank, feel is like we think we timed, again, this right. We have a $3 million investment in our equipment on IndyCar. And where are we going with the future? And we're definitely going to a new place with hope, I think.
Yeah. Who are you hooked up with again in IndyCar this year from a support standpoint?
We call them technical alliances, TAs. And we are with Michael Andretti for 2 years. For the next 2 seasons, we are technically aligned. What's that mean? That means that my setup information and my data that we generate, we share amongst the Andretti cars. So there's 6 of us.
Goes into their big computer.
It goes into the mothership. And it spits out all the information. And so literally 6 drivers and their engineers sit in a big trailer with a big expandable trailer at every event, and they download after every session, talk about what they're doing, what they like, didn't like, what we're trying next. And so we have this giant pool of data, which is hard to get. Not only data, but video too, by the way.
Yeah.
And so theoretically, all 6 cars have the same build, we call it. So the cars are assembled the same way so that we can compare them apples to apples.
From a baseline standpoint.
Now, of course, I pay a fee for this. Michael's spent multitudes of millions over the years to develop what they call their package, technical package. We came in and said, hey, listen, we don't think we're smarter than you, Michael, in this arena. We know where we're at in sports cars, but on the IndyCar side of things, we want to come in here and produce right away what gives us the best opportunity. And we feel this does.
How do you get somebody to go along with that, though? I mean, because ultimately on race day, you're trying to kick his butt.
So it's a little tricky competition-wise on track because at the end of the day, they could take each other out. In fact, Ryan Hunter-Ray took us out. So that's an Andretti car. Took us out last year at Portland.
Yeah.
So it happens. It's competition. There's more upside than down, I believe. And, of course, for Michael, it's another stream of revenue for him. He's got a humongous payroll. Giant. I mean, we've got a big enough one here, but his is times 4 of mine, right?
Yeah, could support a small city.
Literally. So for him, it's just another revenue producer for him. They're already doing it anyways. To add our little elbow to it, it's not that big of a deal.
Gotcha. Hey, let's just jump back real quick. Your first shot out of the gate, and the one you're giddy about, is the 24 Hours of Daytona, as I call it. You know, the Rolex 24. What is the sense of confidence you have going into this race? Obviously, Mario Farnbacher is back. He was a GTD champion last year with you guys. What's the kid's name?
Well, he's with Matt McMurray.
Matt McMurray.
So that's the other part about sports car racing. Not a lot of people, unless you're true fans, really know.
Right.
So we have Matt and Mario.
By the way, when you said a while ago about Urban Meyer and Ryan Day, you almost ought to have numbers on these guys and names on their back,
so
people can
we can relate to them a little
exactly.
more.
But go ahead.
Not a bad idea.
Yeah.
The other guy, the partner to Mario last year, was a kid named Trent Henman. He's in our other car. We've split them as drivers now. So we put together, I think, this year another great opportunity to do really well. We practiced down at Daytona a couple of weeks ago, very fast, very competitive. Come back to the shop, regroup, get everything ready to go for a very long race, and we have as good a chance as ever to win this thing in this class in GTD. And it's important because Acura really used this as a marketing platform to sell NSX street cars, and I need to produce results for them to show what this car is really capable of, and we haven't. We've done really well with the car for them, and I'm really proud to represent the car. Hey,
can you see? I mean, you've done a pretty good job. I mean, pretty good. You've done a really good job for them. How's that paid off down the road? I mean, what do you see? How do you see that paying off down the road? And for example, with your IndyCar, I mean, do you get preferred customer kind of treatment a little bit? I mean, with a Honda in the back of your IndyCar?
No, I feel like on the, because I have such a relationship with Honda / Acura on the sports car side, it does nothing but make this better on the IndyCar side. But remember, we haven't earned our stripes over here yet.
Yeah.
They know we're the team over here, but over here, we're still trying to get out of the freshman year, I don't feel like we get any preferred thing. I think I have a quicker, easier audience to get to the top there because they have a level of trust with me, and if I have a concern, they'll hear it pretty quick.
Yeah, who's that knocking at the door? That's Mike. Oh, come on in, Mike Shank. Whereas 5 years ago, remember 4 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, when you were trying to get into IndyCar,
wouldn't have me,
and it wouldn't take.
Remember, it all comes back to relationships.
Yes, it does.
We just talked about this half hour ago, right?
Yeah,
it's that relationship that's got us in that IndyCar program.
Yeah, back to the NSX GT3. That you're going to be racing at Daytona this opening. What's different about this car this year? What do you like about this car? Has it changed at all?
Oh, well, it's all set up things and reliability things for 2020. I mean, won the championship with last year. We knew it was pretty damn good.
Yeah.
For us, it's just, we didn't capitalize on some things that we should have last year. A lot of that's procedural, which we think we've taken care of now. From a performance standpoint, we just keep working on what we can reliability-wise for these cars. We have 4 long-distance races, we call them, every year, and those are always typically pretty pivotal in the championships.
Is that the Michelin Endurance Championship?
That's right. That's kind of built into our overall championship, but it's a separate prize.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we continue to work to evolve the package, and we actually have a lot of testing coming up post Daytona to try to make our regular street courses and road courses better than we did last year. We go to a device called a shaker rig in Charlotte, North Carolina. It just shakes the car on a table, but we're recording all that, and we work on the shock absorbers essentially to come up with a package that rides better, rides the curbs better, turns better.
I was going to say, you ought to have a curb rig, because that's what really...
We're always bouncing off curves, right? So,
yeah. I don't understand that, but I mean,
it's a shortcut.
I understand that, but I don't understand why you would beat your car up just to get a.
Yeah, the bodywork guy back there would ask you, why are you doing this?
Because I think it's diminishing returns, as the race goes on.
The problem is that this class, we have 18 cars in our class, which is a big number for the Rolex, right?
Oh yeah,
and I would bet you that 8 of them will be on the lead lap within 30 seconds of each other at the end of 24 hours, right? So. We talked about this a little before we started today. It's not like 20 years ago when you could go out and ride at 60, 70%. Now it's both hands up on the wheel. It's 98% in its qualifying laps almost all the time. And the car has to be able to take that, and the team has to be able to keep up with that.
Explain to people who don't even understand this aspect of racing. You've got 4 drivers, I think, in each car in each car
at the Rolex.
At the Rolex. That's what I'm talking about. We're talking specifically about the 24-hour Rolex 24. They're all different. I mean, there was a great picture of when you had Justin Wilson, the late great Justin Wilson. It was Justin Wilson. I think AJ was in that car. I can't remember who
Michael McDowell.
And they were like stepping stones. You know, they were like stair steps, literally, because Justin Wilson was what, 6'5", 6'4", tallest, I think, IndyCar driver almost in history, or one of them.
Yeah.
But I mean, right on down the line, how do you get three guys like that? And I think these drivers, I think, are a little more close,
much closer.
Yeah, much closer. But how do you get a driver comfortable in a race car that you're changing out the driver in 20, 25 seconds?
Yeah.
I mean, how does that work?
So what happens is that Justin to AJ is the real.
Yeah.
It's like Matumbo to
slide the seat back.
Yeah, it's just great. Well, so we have a couple things that we can do. We have these things called inserts. So Justin comes out. So Justin, being the tallest, would be what we call the base insert of the seat. Then when AJ gets in there, we put a booster seat. Effectively, we call it an insert, but it's a booster, right?
Yeah.
And it's made to go in the car. It's got little handles, so we snag it out when he gets out. And we got into a rhythm where it worked pretty good. And all the edges of the seat are rolled real nice, all slickery.
Yeah.
And it just pops. The insert pops right in. There's definitely ways to do it. We won overall in 2012 with AJ and Justin driving, and the same thing. We just a lot of compromise.
Yeah,
it's not perfect, right?
But we're not even talking about the setup of the car. I mean, which you would think every driver, like we were talking about steps a while ago, about going through the Andretti, I call it the computer, and spitting out certain things.
Yeah.
But drivers are like golfers; they're all different.
Yeah.
They've all hit clubs differently, etc. What do you tell your guys as you're going into this race? What do you tell your guys from a setup standpoint? There are going to be compromises on what you like, or do you set it up? Mario Farnbacher, is he the number one driver in that car?
Yeah.
So ultimately, is the car set up for him for the last 2 hours of the race? Meaning, what does he like best? How do you approach that?
He probably has 70% of it.
Yeah.
But it's all compromise, and it's really tricky. On the NSXs, we have things that we can do in between drivers that can help adjust a little if we're having a real big problem.
Really?
In the pit stop. We can change the rake or the ride height or how the car sits this way. And there's also some settings on the steering wheel we can change traction control, which changes how the car goes. And also ABS brakes. And so it changes how the car brakes.
Yeah.
So there are things we can do. But overall, though, when you're in an IndyCar or you're in a NASCAR stock car, it's all about you and your car. We don't care about anyone else. You really have to have a mindset change when you come over to the sports car side to say, okay, I know I'm not going to get all I need, but I can live with this.
Yeah.
I can live with that, but it's not perfect, but I'll be okay.
It's kind of like over here, it's like wearing custom shoes that are fit perfectly for you. And over here, it's wearing a general size shoe that may have a little bit to what you like in it, but drive it like a bat out of hell.
Absolutely. Now, we set expectations. When I know I have you think about who all's driven for you. Sam Hornish and Heli Castroneves and all these guys I've had.
Graham even drove for it.
Graham drove, Ryan Hunter-Ray, all these guys multiple times have driven for us. We tell them going into it, this is all about you, right? This is all about the group. We need to get the greater good here kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
And they all sign right up for it. They understand.
Last couple of things about the 24. How do you determine, you already know who your top two drivers are in each car? I mean, you're number one in each car.
Yeah.
They all understand that?
Yes.
They all understand that this guy's going to be in the car the last 90 minutes or 2 hours?
Yep.
How does that go down? Is that like a football meeting where you get together with the quarterbacks and go, okay, your first string, your second string, your third string? How does that?
You can't see him back here. He's behind that device right there. There's one, we call him a performance engineer, and he analyzes performance from
That's what I was going, yeah.
So we know pretty much what these drivers are capable of. Now, that doesn't mean someone has a good day and a bad day. So the last thing we do is just all eyeballs, and looking at numbers, like in real time.
Anybody can see.
And we call an audible. We can call an audible. We're going to switch these two up at the last minute. We're going to, whatever we have to do to get the end result.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we're racing for Acura, the mothership, let's call it. We need the results. So we're going to do whatever we have to do that.
Yeah, yeah. Now, the difference between 24 Daytona and the 24 hours of Le Mans.
Yeah.
24 hours of Le Mans, it's only dark, I think, for like 7 hours.
Yeah.
Maybe 8,
Yeah.
In Paris, outside, in France.
It doesn't get dark until 10:30 or 11.
Yeah, exactly. And Whereas this race is kind of the opposite. I mean, from the standpoint of it's more dark than it is light.
Here's the difference, though. We have lighting at Daytona,
but it's still middle of the
It is, but the thing is lit like it's 60% or 70% of ambient.
Yeah, you're
right. We
have
headlights and everything on the cars.
You just blew my whole analogy there, but
it's a whole different thing.
But you're right. I mean, and Le Mans is not lit like that.
It's opposite of that.
Exactly.
It's probably the trickiest track on the planet.
But for you personally, I had some numbers here I was looking at as we were coming in, just the miles that you guys have put on as a race team around Daytona. I think it's over 50,000 miles.
Yeah, at least.
It's bordering on 3 times around the earth and stuff. How many of those have you been awake for?
All of them, every single one of them.
And you're awake from what time on Saturday?
They made a big deal out of Penske doing it last year.
Yeah, it does.
He's 83 years old.
He's 83, man.
Whatever. Why is this a thing that Roger stayed up?
What I understood, Penske hardly ever goes to sleep. So I
believe that. And drinks black blood.
But what's the key for you? What have we found so you can stay? Because you got to be sharp. You have to make calls. Sometimes 3 a.m.
Yeah.
If it's raining and somebody goes over a curb and tears something up, you're right in the middle of it.
It's definitely tough. I've gotten into a little rhythm of some things I do, like 4 a.m. We purposely bring a big turkey roaster with hot water and hot rags in it. We also bring these little toothbrushes for everybody. Some guys like, that drugstore little thing in a bottle. What's it called?
5-hour energy.
5-hour energy. You'll hit those a couple times just to try to make it over that 3 to 5 a.m. bridge.
Yeah, when your body is saying go to bed.
And you get that little jolt, and your head nods and all that stuff. All the guys, when they're sitting there, they can take a nap. They just got their headphones on, so they'll, if they have to spring to action, then
beep.
They gotta go. They gotta go.
From a driver standpoint, though, have you ever looked a driver in the eye at like 3 a.m. going, "Hey, he's not."
Well, I have no, but I have had 6 drivers, puking behind the tent, on the pit lane before, and we've had to make these. I remember a couple times having to go get AJ out of he just got to bed.
AJ Allmendinger, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. Just got to bed, and we had a driver get sick. It's happened a couple times, and we have to drag him back out. We'll just get him twilighted sleep, and we wake him up again, and he's got to go.
Yeah,
that's happened a couple times. So most of the time, though, they're prepared, unless they're sick. Right? It's okay.
Last thing, as you go into a race like this, I mean, what is the thing you tell your drivers? Because ultimately, all the work that's going on, like I said, this support group is crazy. How many guys you got working for you now, et cetera. You've got Acura on your side, the Acura, you're driving an Acura NSX. On the street, that is...
That's awesome.
What a ridiculous car.
Yeah.
On a racetrack, it's another race car. You still want it to be number one.
Sure.
But what is it that you tell your drivers more than anything else you want out of them from the standpoint of, what's that old line? You can't finish first unless first you finish.
Well, yeah.
I know it's a stupid cliche, but what is it that what do you enforce with them?
Remember, I said it's our 17th year.
Yeah.
We have, I have to show you sometime. We have what we call the Bible, the MSR Bible. It's about that thick, and it's effectively full of things we've learned. And if you follow this Bible, I promise you will not make a mistake. You can't. We've seen it all. Right? So we try to set them up and give them all the information they can possibly need to be successful. Right? That doesn't take into account someone else driving over the top of us or taking us out. That can happen at any time. We give them the keys to have a very successful day. Right?
Yeah.
And we paid for it. We've got so much experience at this. We know what they're going to see. And remember, not only do I have mechanics in the pit lane, I've got 4 full-time spotters up in the top of the grandstand.
Yeah.
Helping them. We call it protecting the car, right? To make sure they know who's coming, who's going, who it is behind them at night when all you see is headlights.
Yeah.
And we give them this ticket to punch, right? And if you do this, you're going to get a watch, right?
Yeah.
And and it works.
It's a nice watch, by the way.
Yeah.
What did you learn from the first time your team competed to the second time in the Rolex 24?
Yeah.
What was the biggest lesson you learned? Because I would think that's where you really go, hey, this is different.
We weren't ready. Strategy.
Yeah.
I'd say for the first 2 years, though. I think that would be the first thing for anyone to understand is that IMSA has some tricky yellow flag procedures that are different than anything else in the world.
Give us an example.
What happens when a yellow comes out? A caution. When a caution comes out, what happens? Well, the first thing is the pits are closed and everyone slows down. And then they reset the field. And it's a complicated process. And then you get an opportunity to get your lap back if you're a lap down. And how does that work?
Yeah.
And how does that time, right? And it's a very complicated thing. I have it memorized, and my guys do now too, but it still can catch us out if we're not good.
Should you be able to get a lap back in a 24-hour race where endurance and doing things the right way is what it's all about? It's not a circus show.
Well, so this is the age-old battle. What's the right thing to do? Are we artificially creating a race, or are we just letting the race happen?
Right.
In my mind, helping it helps the overall product. Meaning, if I've got 12 people crossing the finish line at the same time after 20, that's a freaking race.
Yeah.
If I've got one guy that just had a flawless, he's 3 laps out, the race is over. There's no excitement in that. And the people, it's just like getting beat in a football game badly.
Well, how long did it take for you as a competitor to come to grips with that, as opposed to if you're 3 laps up, you have earned it?
No. I never felt that way.
You never felt that way?
In fact, I advocated for the lucky dog rule, they call it in NASCAR.
Yeah.
Where you automatically, everyone a lap down gets their lap back. It's not so easy now. I advocated for that because I felt like it gave more people an opportunity to stay in the race and ultimately have a better product on the track. And I think I'm 90% right on it.
Yeah, and it also allows them to go back to their sponsors the next day and say, "Hey, we're on the lead lap, and look how good we're doing."
I got a great example. 2013, we won the race in 2012. 2013, we had 2 mechanical problems. Had the garage twice. We were 9 laps down, and we made them all back up and almost won the race again. Finished 3rd.
Wow.
Okay, so should you be allowed to do that? There's a pure racer's going to say, the old school guys, we're in a new world here.
Yeah.
How many times do we have to prove that? Now Penske owns the whole joint on the IndyCar side. The old tricks that NASCAR used to get people don't work anymore.
Yeah.
What are we going to do?
Yeah. Change the show, baby.
You have to.
Hey, speaking of change the show, you're going to be moving to new digs here pretty soon, right?
We're hopeful in the year of 2020, toward the end, we'll have a new show.
Mike, what is that like from the standpoint of you started, like we said, a kid with a dream in Gahanna, right?
Yeah.
Or outside.
Yeah.
To like now an entity, a corporate entity in a city. What is that? How far you've come? Do you ever sit back and go, man, this is crazy?
Bit. I do. I do sometimes. I remember one of my shops was down by the fairgrounds back in the 90s.
Like Jigs.
Yeah. And we were putting an addition on, and I remember I was digging the footers with my partner at the time, and I literally said to him, I said, I guarantee Bobby Rahal is not digging a footer for his shop right now.
Yeah.
And I was in there with the thing and doing this, and I think back
post-hole digger, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, I think about times like that, but I'm no different than any person that started their own business, a small business, and tried to grow it and didn't give up on it. There's 1,000 million stories about that.
Yeah.
I think we've done it at a high level because I've stuck to the way I want to go racing and haven't got off of it or haven't given up when I probably should have a couple of times.
Yeah.
And finances and the whole thing, right?
No, I remember. Yeah.
And the right people came along at the right time, like Brian Bailey when he and I tried to get in IndyCar earlier.
From Rocky Fork?
And there's a couple other people before him. And again, it's more timing than luck. And me understanding this is an opportunity, and I'm like, I need to take this and not going past it. So those are the moments in time that have really put us here.
That reminds me of my favorite line from The Wizard of Oz, where the guy goes to Annie M. He goes, one of these days they're going to erect a statue to me in this town. Yeah. And Annie M. says, don't start posing for it now.
Right.
It's one of the great lines ever. Keep hammering.
Yeah, keep hammering.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have a lot of fun on this podcast because as it goes along, it'll be like every other week until we get into the meat of the IndyCar season. We'll have a few more, maybe having a couple of weeks during the run up to the Indianapolis 500. But Mike, we're going to talk about a lot of the comings and goings, the brass tacks that keep auto racing going, and I think we're going to have a good time. And I really appreciate you joining me, my man.
To it. And I'm hoping that if enough people start watching, they'll write in with questions, and we can debate some topics maybe they want to talk about. I have an opinion about it all.
But that's one of the great things, ladies and gentlemen, that stood out about Mike Shank since I first started covering him a long time ago was he is not afraid to speak his mind, pro and con. And I'm looking very much forward to this. Sure. Mike, thanks for joining us. The next podcast, keep looking out for it. It's on all kinds of platforms, any place you could find a podcast, like Apple Podcast, iTunes, etc. We're going to have it on YouTube with our video and etc. We hope to make a good time out of this. But until the next one, this is Tim May along with Mike Shank. Thanks for listening and thanks for watching.